Okay, thank you again, Angelique. So I thought that today we could start by creating a workshop website. And as time allows, maybe I can show some more advanced features. But first, I'll start with just simple as a case where we want to create a website for a workshop. So the URL to get started is this one. And I will copy and paste this in the Etherpad so people can follow along. So this website here is basically the rendered version of the workshop template with no customization. So when you are going to create your own version of the website, before you do anything else, it's going to look exactly like this, because that's the default values for everything. And this website is rendered by showing the content of a GitHub repository. And this GitHub repository is at github/carpentries/workshop template. And I will paste the URL also there. Oops. The first thing I'd like to point out is that, and what sometimes can make things a little complicated to understand where you need to change things to make the website look the way you want, is that we have a basic set of instructions that are in the README of this repository. And then if there is anything that is a little more advanced, then the instructions are going to be listed at this page, which is not necessarily very accessible. And so I'll put the link here. It's listed a few times in the README, but sometimes it can be a little hard to find. And then maybe to complicate things a little further is that to do this customization of your website, there are two ways of doing it. The first one is to strictly use the GitHub interface. And that's the easiest, and it's what we're going to demonstrate today. But there is another way, which is to clone the content of the repository on your computer, do the editing and the customization directly on your computer. And once you're happy with the changes, you commit and you push to your version of the website. One of the advantages of doing that is that you have quicker feedback, so you can see more quickly how the changes you're going to make to the template are going to affect how your workshop website is going to look like. But the disadvantage is that you need to have Git set up on your laptop, but also you need the software that are needed to convert the files that are in this repository into a website. And this is where you need an installation of Ruby and some of the other software that are needed for the website. One is called Jekyll. It's written in Ruby. And Bundle, it's a way to do package management of Ruby things. And it's a little easier if you're running this in a Linux environment or Mac environment, because then you can use the make command to generate your website. But I realize it's a lot, and so I don't want to spend a lot of time demonstrating this, because depending on the system you have and how comfortable you are with these systems, it can be challenging to get all of this set up correctly to do a local preview of your site. So instead today, I'm just going to focus on using the GitHub interface. Another thing is that there is also a YouTube video that demonstrates a lot of the things that I'm going to show today. So you are welcome to go back to the recording for this session, or you could look at this YouTube video that my colleague Erin has recorded that also shows the same principle. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you need to know is that this. So one way generally when you try to use a GitHub repository for your own purpose is to create a fork. We cannot create a fork here, or at least we don't recommend creating a fork in this situation, because GitHub allows you to only have one fork for each repository, which means that if you were to teach a single workshop in your life, then that would be okay. You would have a single fork for the workshop template. But I hope that you're going to teach many workshops in your life as an instructor. And so we cannot use the forks. Instead, we are going to use this relatively recent feature that is coming from GitHub that allows us to make a repository a template. And so the workshop template repository is a repository template. So this green button here is enabled. And so if you click on this, you are going to create under your account a fresh copy of this repository that then we can customize to make our own website. So I'm just going to say that we are going to teach a workshop today. We are going to say that this workshop is, I don't know, in South Africa, because I've been invited by Angelique. And it's online. And so we are going to end the identifier of our workshop with -online. That's what's the one I'm looking for? That's convention that we are using across the Carpentries to identify all the workshops that are run online. I can leave the description blank for now, and I'm going to push this green button that says create a repository from a template. As GitHub is doing its thing in the background, you can see that this is now my own copy. Here it's not Carpentries anymore, but it's my GitHub username, and that's the name of the workshop that we created. It shows you that it was generated from a template by adding this line at the bottom. Okay, our repository is now set up, and we can continue to look the instruction. We did all of this, and so let's start customizing our repository. Yeah, the first thing we need to check is making sure we are under the right branch. To allow GitHub to publish the content of the repository, it's best to use the gh-pages branch. This is the correct branch here. That's the only one we have. So here we are all set. We can also, before we do anything else, check under settings here to ensure that our website is being published. And so GitHub tells us that it's the case. I'm going to put this in a new tab. And you can see that we are basically where we started this demonstration. We have a website that has all the default values, but this one is not the template anymore. It's really our own version, our own copy that we had created. And so we are going to be able to start customizing it. One difference that maybe you are going to notice is that there is this red box and this yellow box that don't show up on the initial version of the website. Like when we go here, it shows for a second and then they're going to disappear. But when we are on the Carpentries version of the site, these boxes are not showing up. But in our version, they are showing up. Okay, what we're going to do is that we want to keep the address for our website handy. So I'm going to copy it. And we are going to customize our repository to include this URL. So we'll have access to it easily. So under About here, you can click on the gear icon. and put the URL of your repository here. Sometimes HTTPS doesn't get copied, so you may want to add this by hand. So I do this just so it's easy for me to see where I can visualize the generated output of my website. It will be here, it will be handy and easy to access. Okay, now that we have done this little bit of house cleaning, we can start customizing our site. The first file we're going to customize is this file called config.yaml. Click on it. And there are basically two files that we need to worry about for a basic customization of a workshop website. This one, _config.yaml, and the other one is index.html. The config.yaml gives you a broader overview of the things about your workshop. This is really about what type of workshop it is. Are you running a software carpentry, a data carpentry, a library carpentry workshop? Which curriculum are you going to teach? And for the particular curriculum, sometimes there is an R version and a Python version. So which one of these two flavors, we call them, are you going to teach? And then a few other things. The last thing I can change here is the workshop title. It's something that is relatively optional. Maybe we'll edit it later if we have time. But most people don't really need to worry about this last setting. So let's customize it. The best way of doing it is to click on this little pencil icon here on the top right corner. And let's say that we're going to teach data carpentry workshop. So for carpentry, I'm going to say DC instead of SWC. For curriculum, I'm going to say that we're going to teach a DC ecology workshop. And we are going to teach the R flavor of that workshop, not the Python one. And again, I'm going to keep this title as it is for now. You can scroll to the bottom. And we are going to create a little commit message. It's a way to tell GitHub. It's a way to keep track of the changes you make to your repository. So here I'm going to say, edit config.yaml. You can add more details here. I'm not going to spend too much time. I'd like to show you other things. Okay. That's the first file. The second file we're going to change now is the index. So index.md. And again, here, because the extension of this file is md for Markdown, GitHub tries to render it and to show what the content of this file is. But it's a little bit of gibberish because we are actually, this file is not quite written in Markdown. It's a mix of Markdown and also Jekyll, the syntax that we are using to create the website. So it's a little easier to see what's going on by, again, clicking on the pencil icon and try to edit the file. So let's see. The first thing is, we need to change is the variables that are listed in the YAML header. The YAML header starts with these 3 dashes and ends with these 3 dashes. And you can see there is a bunch of fixmes. And so everywhere where there is a fixme, we are going to need to change it to match the workshop we are going to teach. Another thing that is important to notice is that here we have also a link to this customization page that I mentioned earlier, and that has some useful information. For instance, if we want to teach an online workshop, we have some information about that here. We are going to do an online workshop today, so I'm going to fill this out just as if it were an online workshop. So to customize the variables, it says that for venue, we are going to use the name of the institution that organizes the workshop. For the address, we have a couple of options. You can say either online, and in this case, there will be no information about the connection information for your workshop, or if it's or if you want, you can also share the URL of that people are going to use to connect to your online workshop. And that's the kind of thing that you can do if, for instance, you're providing the password to join by email. And so you can share the URL publicly, but then only people who have the password will be able to join in. So we have these two mechanisms to do this. For the country, even if it's an online workshop, that can be open to other people. By convention, we are using the country associated with the host institution, the organization, again, that organizes the workshop. For latitude and longitude, it depends a little bit of the situation. Either you can put the coordinate of the host institution, otherwise you are welcome to just put 00, and we will know to not use this information because we know it will be an online workshop. So let's follow this direction. So for venue, what would be a good example? I guess I will do, it's not a real example, so I'm just going to say South African University. For the address, that's, sorry, I forget what we said here. For the address, we're going to say just online because this is an online workshop. For country, we are going to put ZA for South Africa. Language, we're going to say EN for English. Latitude and longitude, we are going to put 00. For human date, we are going to say that the workshop is today and tomorrow, so November 26, 27, 2020. For the times, we're going to just use the same time that is in the example here, so 9 AM to 4:30 PM. Start date 2020-11-26, end date same thing, 2020-11-27. And here you can put the name of the instructors that are going to teach the workshop. I'm going to leave it like this for today, but you use the same template as what is listed in the example to write the actual names of the people who will be teaching the workshop. The name of the helpers are listed below. And you can put one or more email addresses using the same format as is listed in the example. There are two more things in the YAML header that you can customize. One is collaborative notes. So let's say we are going to use the Etherpad that we're using today for our collaborative notes. So I'm going to put this here. And then Eventbrite is only if you use Eventbrite to handle the registration. Then sometimes you are in charge of doing this. Other times, maybe someone else in your institution, or even maybe the Carpentries directly will be handling this for you. But you will have an identifier that allows you to embed in your workshop website the form that you will use to register for your workshop. Okay, this looks pretty good. I'm going to just change just this part for now before we do further customization. So I'm going to say customize YAML header for index page. Okay, so we can see here already that the YAML header in GitHub gets rendered as a table. And so we can see now that we have our venue, the online that we put, the country, the language, and latitude, longitude that we included are now all appearing in this table at the top here. With GitHub, every time you do a commit like this, if you have GitHub pages enabled, it takes a few minutes generally to have the changes that you make to your website being propagated on the actual rendered version of the website. Let's refresh this page and see if the changes we made are going to be visible here. It looks like it. So you can see that it doesn't say fix me anymore, but it does say South African University. The location address is now being converted as online. We have our date, our time. We haven't changed the name of the instructors or helpers, so it still says instructor 1, instructor 2, helper 1, helper 2. You may have noticed that the yellow box that was on top there has disappeared. This yellow box was telling us that we need to start customizing it, and we did. So this is removed, but we still have this red box that we're going to clear in a second. You'll also see that the logo has changed. It used to be the software carpentry logo, but because we changed the carpentry in our YAML header to say data carpentry, now we have the data carpentry logo. Let's scroll down a little more and see what else has changed. Here, under collaborative notes, we have a link. And if we look at the bottom here of the screen, you can see that that links to the Etherpad that we included. We have the links to our pre- and post-workshop surveys. And because in the YAML header, we said that we are going to teach the data carpentry ecology lesson and that we are using the R flavor, already the schedule is set. It's for the morning, we already have data organization in spreadsheet, followed by open refine for data cleaning, introduction to R. Day 2, we continue with R, and we end with the SQL lesson. And then when the workshop is over, we can take the post-workshop survey. So for several of our workshop combinations, we already have the variable setup such that your schedule will be automatically set to what is generally the default schedule. For the setup instruction, again, because we specified in the YAML header that we were doing the data carpentry R ecology lesson, then the last sentence here tells us how to access the installation instructions automatically. And because we had said in the address that we are using an online workshop, again, automatically, we have the installation instructions for Zoom and some advices on how to configure your workspace to be able to follow along at the workshop. Maybe now is a good time before I do anything else. What are your questions about this first step of the process? Maybe we can take a few minutes to answer a few questions before moving on to further customizing the index page. If you can, you could raise your hand in the chat in Zoom and unmute yourself and ask the question, or we can type them directly in the Etherpad. Check here. I'll wait 10 more seconds to see if there are any questions. If not, I will continue. Okay, excellent. Don't hesitate here to go on line 111, 112 of the Etherpad to put questions, and we'll try to have some time at the end to answer them. Or at any time, write hand in the chat, and we will try to address your questions. Okay, so let's go back to our preview. This workshop says that this is a workshop template, and if it's really a workshop, we need to remove this box, and also not forget to submit your workshop using our workshop request form. So if it's a self-organized workshop, we can keep track of it and display it on our website. And that helps us to also have an idea of how many workshops are being run on any given time. Okay, so let's click again on the pencil icon to customize a little bit more this index page. Okay, so you can see in the comments here that, sorry, not in the comments, you can see in this index page that there is a comment that says that we can delete this section, and that will get rid of the red box we had on the top. So we're going to do just that. I'm selecting these lines, and I'm deleting them. And in this case, because everything looks good for a workshop, we are going to go ahead and not change anything else, at least for now. So remove comment box, I'm going to call it this way. Again, I'm going to commit the change. Need to wait for a few minutes, a few seconds. Let's see. No, it doesn't updated yet, but soon this red box will change. Let's see, what would be a good thing to demonstrate? Maybe let's demonstrate what would, let's say you don't want to run your workshop over 2 days. Online workshop can be even more exhausting than in-person workshops. And for other constraints, it can maybe more useful to not run your workshop over 2 days, but maybe you want to spread it over 4 days. So again, in this case, the schedule was created automatically using the template, but we also provide a way to edit the schedule to make it fit whatever format you want for your workshop. So the way to do this is to go again to this page and click on the pencil icon. And this index page is a little long. There is a lot to this, but if you scroll a little bit more, here we go, schedule. So to customize the schedule, you can see that there is a comment section here that explains how you can do this. And basically, there are 2 ways you can customize the schedule, depending on how much you want to customize it. If we go back at the website and see what we have, let's say that you decide to not teach the SQL section of this lesson, and you want to teach more of the, you want to split maybe the R section by doing data analysis in the morning and visualization in the afternoon. For this small change, we could do this by sorry, I'm going to leave this page to show what happens. We are going to edit the file that is here. So the default schedule is under this folder called includes. The data carpentry ecology lesson is in the folder called DC for data carpentry, and in this file called schedule. So that's also in this file that you will find the default schedule for all other data carpentries workshop. In this case, the data carpentry ecology curriculum is the first one on this file. And if we only wanted to do the change that I suggested, again, click on the pencil icon to edit the file. This is, again, a mix of Markdown, HTML, and jQuery, which is the language that we use to generate the website. And the jQuery tags start with this curly bracket and this percentage sign here. And if we said we only wanted to change what happens on the second day, so here you can set the header for day 2, and we decide, and here is a section for the morning, and here is a section for the afternoon. So if we decided to only change the fact that we are not going to teach the SQL lesson, we could delete this line here, this section of the line. Again, we are using an HTML table to create this schedule. And so here we would remove the content of the cell for the afternoon. And instead, we are going to, again, we are going to do the R lesson. So I'm going to copy this and paste it there. And we're going to say that we are going to do visualization in the afternoon. So I'm going to remove a section about data analysis. And here in the morning, I'm going to remove the section that talks about visualization. I'm going to say update schedule as my message. And with the commit changes. Okay, again, it's going to probably take a little bit of time, but I'm going to go back to the website and refresh it now, and at least the red box should be gone for now, by now. Yeah, so the edit we did a little bit earlier is now gone. So this red box that we deleted does not appear on our website anymore. The old schedule is still there. Let's refresh one more time to see. No, it's still not quite refreshed. It takes about 2 to 5 minutes between the time you make an edit on the files and the time it takes for the changes to appear on your website. Let's try one more time. No, not yet. Okay, so let's go back to schedule customization for now. Again, this was a small change. So we went directly into the file that has a default schedule. And then we edited in this file just 2 lines of our table to make it match what we were planning to do. Here we go. So now the change has propagated, and you can see that for day 2, we have data analysis in the morning, and then in the afternoon, visualization with R. We removed the part about SQL. So we customize the schedule to fit on it. But let's go back to the more complete example that I described earlier, where we want to teach the workshop, let's say, over 4 days. So for this, we created a template to help you. So you don't have to write the entire table by hand. There is already a skeleton of this table written. So you can add the section you want to make it fit the schedules you are planning to teach. We go back to the index page. We look again at the section about the schedule. Here we go. And again, the instructions are written here. They are also on the customization page I showed earlier. Here, what we're going to do is we are going to copy this line of code, include custom-schedule.html, and we're going to replace this block by this include. Again, it's going to probably take a little bit of time before we can see what the changes that this edit is going to make on the website, but let's refresh just in case. Yeah, it's going to take a little longer. So in this case, with Jekyll, everything that has start with include looks for files that are named after the same way in the underscore include folder. So here, if you remember the edit, it was include custom-schedule.html. So let's look for this file in the includes folder. And you can see that in the includes folder here, we have this custom schedule. And in this case, we have a default schedule spread over 4 days. So there is day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. For each, we have the table, but it's completely empty. So it's going to be up to you to fill this out to make it match the schedule you want to teach. Let's go back here to see if the change is propagated. Yes. So now the schedule is here. You can see that the schedule now is completely empty, and we have the 4 days that are there. I'm not going to spend too much time, but I just want to do a few edits so you can see how to do this. Again, we will click on the pencil icon to edit the file. And here we would say, for instance, 9 a.m. And we would say introduction to spreadsheets. And then another thing here. Using OpenRefine, and we can maybe split it in several parts. So part 1, and I'm just going to do this now because I don't want to spend too much time editing this file. I just want you to have an idea of where it happens. So start editing custom schedule. And again, in a few minutes, we are going to see the changes that we just made appear on this site here. I think I'm going to stop here because I'd like to have some time for answering your questions before we close. I only really showed a few things, but I'm hoping it will be useful to get you oriented on what are the different files and how to customize the website for your needs. Again, the README file in the workshop template repository has the basic information to get you started. And then if you want to go further and learn more about the changes you can make, look at this page here, the customization page that you can access. It's linked in several places, in the README file, in the index page, and in, I think, the config.yaml. So if you have any question about how to do things, most likely the answer is going to be in this file. We are always looking for more feedback on this. I know it's a little challenging because you need to be really familiar with at least HTML to be able to really customize the information. To customize the schedule, for instance, you need to understand a little bit about HTML tables. If you want to go even further, then it's useful to understand a little bit of Jekyll. And so that's a lot. We are really hoping to make this much easier over the next few months and probably come up with a better mechanism to allow people to create their websites. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask questions on our Slack or open issues in the workshop template repository. And myself or other people in the team or the community would be happy to answer your questions. Before I stop sharing my screen, let's see if this last change is visible now. Yes, it is. And so you can see that in day one, we have now introduction to spreadsheet and using Open Refine according to the edits we did in the custom schedule. Okay, with this, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let's see what are your questions about this short demonstration. Again, you can ask question by raising your hand in the chat or in Zoom or typing your question directly in the Etherpad at line. Now we are at line 116. I see that I think Margaret had a question.
Yes, it is a bit a strange name, the NASA Space Apps,
Yeah.
but this is from an activity we had before.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much for this introduction. I know how value that is because I struggled so much with my last two workshops and now we are in the instructor training. It's very easy to do if you know what to do. And
Yes.
Now the future instructors are sitting here, the future instructors from Ethiopia, also one from Nigeria. And I think this is quite a good help because each of the Nigerian new instructors, they will organize their first workshops very soon. Otherwise, they cannot complete the checkout. We have this as a mandatory step. That means they will then apply very soon in the next months. That's what they have seen right now. And you have mentioned also this guide, customizing your workshop website.
Mm-hmm.
This is new, right?
It's not very new, but it was a little bit hidden. We are trying to, I spent quite some time cleaning it up. Some of the information there was a little bit out of date, and I'm linking it to more places because before, it was a little bit buried in the documentation and only a few people knew about it. So I'm trying to make it as, like, if you need to go beyond what is in the README, all the information you need should be in that customization page.
Yes, thank you so much. I think this is quite a good guideline, what we will then apply. And if we have difficulties, then we will come back to you.
Yes, please
Thank you
don't
so
hesitate.
much for your presentation.
You're welcome.